in the Azad Day celebration, they have accepted our invitation and they were honored as the guest of honor. Then in IT Expo, they were again invited, and right now again they are with us. I take this opportunity to welcome them on behalf of Professor Syed Ainul Hassan Sir. He is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of this university, and Professor Sheikh Ishtiaq Ahmed Sir, Registrar Maulana Azad National University. So with these words, I request Mr. Praneeth Sir to take the session.
It's not connected. Okay. Okay, meanwhile, this is being set up. Good afternoon, everybody. You all had lunch? So energy aaya nahi abhi. So good afternoon once again. Great. So I'm sure there are also attendees online as well. So good afternoon to them. And once again, a very warm welcome. So my name is Praneeth, and I handle the university relations at BGSW, that is Bosch Global Software Technologies. So just to give a small introduction about what we do, BGSW is predominantly biggest software powerhouse for the world, Bosch, which is primarily located in Germany. And we are a 100% subsidiary of Bosch, Germany, and largest powerhouse in terms of software supply to Bosch world beyond Germany. And overall, we are about 25,000 plus associates working across India and few other international delivery centers in Mexico, Vietnam, Poland, and etc. So that being said, today I'm here to speak about how you can ace your interview. And of course, there are certain set of skills that you need to equip with as part of your interview. And the moment our projector is ready, I'll go through my slides as well. So any of you have already faced any interview before? Second and third year.
They are going to have placement drives in
March and April.
5 months are there.
Okay. So people are across their BTech and other streams as well.
And online students are also plus BTech,
UG.
other UG and PG courses.
Got it. Great. So I think most of you, not just for a matter of campus interview, I think you must have gone through various other types of interviews as part of your counseling or as part of various other things. But any of you wants to speak, how was that experience the first time you attended? I'll keep asking a lot of questions throughout my presentation because my goal is to also make you guys comfortable. Time limit. Yeah. So today I'll just touch upon some of the important elements when it comes to interview preparation or facing an interview. So I'll talk about how do you make a first impression from the moment you step into the interview room and etc. By the way, there are students, right? You are there, correct? So please come forward. There are a lot of seats this side as well, or even here. When it comes to interview or proving your capabilities. So how do you get that first impression when you go for any interview? The first thing is you have to research about the organization that you are attending the interview for. It cannot be the case that you walk in and try your luck in an interview. Anytime you go sit for an interview, it is important to understand the legacy of that company and also what technologies that they work on and what you're being hired for. So they might not ask you a question about directly asking, do you know about my company? But in your script, when you're answering your answers to many of these questions, you can bring that up. So that proves to a recruiter that you are aware about the organization and you have researched and you are keen. And second thing is you all should also know what you're applying for and what is the role about. So this is basically your job description. So whatever job description you get beforehand, or sometimes whatever the role that has been defined, you should understand what are your roles and responsibilities there. Because only if you understand the exact roles and responsibilities, you will be able to demonstrate or you'll be able to tell what you have learned at campus, what you have learned as part of your CRT trainings, that you would be able to apply for that particular role. Let's say, for example, I ask you a question, why do you want to apply for this particular role? You can't say me that because it is interesting or the CTC is high. So these type of answers will not give a strong impact opinion on the candidate. And second thing is you should also keep an eye on what the organization is going through in the recent times. And can you all tell me, how do you get to know that? Social media, correct. Website, absolutely. Go and stand outside the office and see. Do yes or no? Yes? What if the office is headquarters is in somewhere in USA? So that doesn't work out. But as rightly mentioned, you should keep an eye on social media, news articles, and all these segments where you can find the latest information about the organization. For example, organization is working on a latest technology. Let's say, for example, Gen AI. XYZ company says they are going way ahead in terms of implementing Gen AI in their processes. And let's say they have invested 1 billion euros into that. So these are some of the recent initiatives which are taken up by organization that you should be aware when you're going to that interview. Because again, they don't expect you to do this, but if you do that, you will make a strong impact as a candidate. You can ask a question. Let's say, for example, you have implemented Gen AI. How do you think that will impact your organization or your resources at company? So this type of research and preparation is very well required. And also about the latest trends in technology. Let's say, for example, I'll take Bosch. We are predominantly a mobility organization. So you should also learn about what is happening in mobility, what are the latest trends, and how is that particular organization relevant, and how are they working with competitors, and what is their USP. So these are not really too complicated, because especially for companies which have been for long legacy, you will find all this information through social media, their websites, news articles, etc. And last but not the least, not many of the candidates do it. This is very much important. You should also understand who is the executive leadership team of that particular organization, who is leading that company, and what is their legacy. I mean, how long have they been in the organization for, and what decisions they have taken recently. And this is again not a very complex thing. You can just simply go to their LinkedIn profile and see who is the CEO, who is the executive vice president, because this will help you understand what type of people are also leading that particular organization and what type of backgrounds they come from. For example, if you look at our CEO of BJSW, who is Mr. Datta, he comes from a very ordinary college in Bangalore. He is not an IIT graduate or etc. He comes from a very normal college called BMSC, but it's a very renowned college within Bangalore. But it also shows the impact that it's not just your education background that matters. It's also about how you're proving yourself in the organization over a period of time. So, and what type of technologies they worked upon, and how did they reach that position. All that legacy you can see in their LinkedIn profile, what type of roles they have done in the past 20 years, 15 years, etc. So that you can relate and ask, as a fresher, when I am entering into your organization, what kind of a career map that you see for me. Yeah. And how else you can make a first impression is also by following these some of the critical aspects. First thing, as I said, preparation, all the aspects that I mentioned before about the organization, about your role, about the trends, about the leadership team. All these are called preparational aspects. And the second thing is you have to show the enthusiasm to be part of that organization. Again, when people ask, I mean, when recruiters ask you why you applied, the answer should define exactly why you are motivated to apply there. You should not give a random answer because of CTC or because my TNPCL has pushed me to apply. So all these random answers will not give the right impression. And of course, you have to dress professionally when you're going for an interview, because the moment you enter, the only thing that as a recruiter will be able to see is how well dressed you are and how well presentable you are. And highlight the transferable skills. What I mean by this is you should also be able to demonstrate what you have learned at campus and how you can implement or apply it in your role there. So that you can do more effectively if you follow my preparation step about reading the job description. Let's say that particular role is for a software developer. Then you can tell the recruiter that you have learned so and so skills, like say C++ or Python, whatever it is, and you are very keen to apply this. So that you can tell only if you read the job description thoroughly and what they are expecting. And you have to also manage the nervousness. And of course, if you are attending an interview, this is going to be a very important factor, because everyone will go through this. You cannot attend an interview without being nervous, especially if it's a first interview. But you have to manage it, because whatever efforts you put in last 3 years or 4 years as part of your degree, you will have to prove it in those 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you get. And this is the only opportunity that you'll have to seize. Nobody will give you a job directly just because you have completed your degree or holding the certificate. So you have to manage that nervousness, and you have to be confident. And you should, when I talk about asking insightful questions, I have a detail, another slide, so I'll talk more in detail there. But whatever questions you ask, it should be something meaningful. That's what I meant. And body language is also important. Many of you, I think, the first time they enter, they didn't move their body, or they don't make an eye contact with the recruiter. So the way you sit, the posture, the way you present yourself, all this is going to be a very important aspect. And of course, the last point, I think this is another blunder that many students do make. Even though if you are confident, you should project that confidence in a much more presentable manner. It should not be an arrogance that I know everything about this topic, I'm fully prepared. Even if you come to a tech industry who has worked in that particular domain for even 2 decades, will not make a statement that I know everything about that, because there is always something to learn. And of course, what you learn in campus is completely different when you come and implement it, because there are a lot of use cases, a lot of defects, a lot of relearning, new learning that has to happen as part of that. Yeah, and coming to what recruiters look for, I have majorly split into 2 segments. One is your technical interview that you will go through, and then HR interview. And of course, both are actually interchangeably evaluated by both the panels, but I've just put where the focus is higher. And coming to technical, many of you actually believe that if you clear a technical round, HR interview is just for the namesake. I still feel many students do have this impression, and they do tell their colleagues, and even sometimes even parents do say that अगर टेक्निकल इंटरव्यू हो गया तो एचआर इंटरव्यू जस्ट नाम के वास्ते है, कर देंगे, फिर बाद में ऑफर लेटर रिलीज हो जाएगा। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। Even in the HR interview, many people still get rejected. But to talk about some of the skills that are being looked upon, and of course, when it comes to a technical panel, they look at your skills and qualifications, what you have learned as part of your degree, and what certifications you have done, and how relevant they are, and how knowledgeable you are. And then also comes proven track record. I think any student should have definitely some or the other proven track record, because roughly, if you have to speak, there are lakhs of students graduating every year from this country across every different corners. But we don't have lakhs of jobs coming in. But how do you stay relevant is because everyone has a degree, but who has that proven track record? It could be your projects, it could be your internships, or it could be any assignments that you've done as part of your curriculum, but something where you have implemented those skills, not just learned as part of your curriculum and then got a memo. And you should have that problem solving ability, and not just about looking at a task or looking at a technology at a transactional level, but also about how do you solve problems and how do you have a different view from others. And then adaptability and flexibility, this is the most important factor when it comes to especially freshers. Maybe not as much as for laterals, but definitely for freshers, because many times people, students come and say, I want to work on AI, I want to work on blockchain, I want to work on all the latest trends that they hear. But AI doesn't need lakhs of people, thousands of people in any organization for that matter. But everyone will eventually might get an opportunity, but especially during the beginning times of your career, you should be adaptable to technologies, and of course within the scope of what you have learned. Not that we expect a CSC graduate to do some mechanical work, but just within the scope, you will have to still be adaptable to various technologies and various roles that the organization might want to offer. And location is also a very big constraint, especially for hiring freshers, because not every time that you might find a company which will offer you job in your hometown. You might have to move between towns, you might have to move between locations, to be able to fit into that organization. Because this is also a very important element we look. Because, for example, if I have to take my own organization, we are present in 4 locations within India. Maybe the technology that I want, that you are good at, I might not be able to find a position in Hyderabad. Maybe in Bangalore there's a better team that can utilize your skills. So you should be adaptable or flexible enough to also take up those type of challenges. And as I mentioned, the proven track record, it could be an internship experience and projects. Again, when you are building your resume, ensure that all these elements that you are mentioning are completely genuine, which you are presenting. And also about your analytical skills a little bit on how you are evaluating and how well you are interpreting the tasks or the questions of the recruiter. And coming to HR, we might not focus too much on the technical aspects, but we will majorly look at the cultural fit to the organization, because every organization has its own unique culture. So during the interaction with the candidate, it is not too difficult to judge what type of attitude the student has or the candidate has. And the attitude that you show and the enthusiasm that you show as part of the interview, and another most importantly, the communication skills. So this is where I say it is very important, because the technical panel might think you have exceptional technical skills, you might be very good at what you have learned, but if you're not able to communicate that properly, or if you're not able to convey or give the right message in a proper way, it's not going to be useful. Even if you clear the technical round, HR round, you will still fail. And you should show a great level of confidence on what you have learned. And when I mean confidence, again, it should not be an arrogant, but it should be in a way that you have learned something and you can be able to implement it. And then the resume accuracy is the most important part when it comes to freshers. I'll give you a great example. uh, how many of you write hobbies in the resume? How many of you have a hobbies column in the resume at the bottom? Book reading, you said that, right? Can you name me 5 authors who you read on regular basis? Huh? Uh, mm. Okay. Okay. Okay, got it. But book reading, I think, is a very generic hobbies that people mention. But when I asked you 5 names of authors that you read on a general basis, you were not able to tell. Yeah, that is okay. That can be one. But there is other. If you are saying general book reading, newspaper, all this doesn't count under it. If you say reading books as your hobby, then it should be an actual hobby where you read novels, where you read a lot of different types of books, and you follow certain authors. So only then it can be considered a hobby. If playing cricket is your hobby, then you can just say, or even food tasting is your hobby, you can just mention food tasting. That's not wrong, but it should be genuine, is what I'm trying to say. Don't mention anything on your resume because it sounds fancy. Sorry. Yeah, so there are many such things. I just gave you one example. People even mention under skills, they say that PowerPoint is my skill, Word, MS Word, Python, everything. But when I ask how do you insert an object in a PowerPoint, they are unable to tell on which menu it comes under. So these are certain things you should be very aware of, because a resume is your face before you enter into the interview hall. So please ensure anything that you are mentioning on your resume should be 100% genuine work that you have put in. Don't mention because it's fancy. And then your behavioral traits, how you are behaving with the panel, how you are interacting. And then the last important point is willingness to learn and grow. And again, this connects back to adaptability. If an organization is willing to give you that opportunity to work on a certain technology, to make you learn, to make you grow, you should take up that opportunity. You should not be stubborn saying that, hey, I can't work in this technology, I'll only do this. And these are some of the red flags that you should avoid as part of your interview. One is negative attitude, speaking anything negative aspects in terms of complaining that, hey, I could not get the previous job because the interviewer was not. He did not do a proper interview, or saying anything in negative sense. Let's say my college didn't train me properly, and all these things you can't. Especially in 2024, you can't say these things. Your college is not responsible for you to completely make you job ready. There are enough opportunities for you to do that. YouTube has hours for years of content for you to learn. There are so many free platforms for you to learn. Nobody can force you to learn, be it college or be it at home, your parents, unless you are truly intended to learn. So saying that you didn't have enough opportunities has never been a case. And then lack of preparation, as I said, not knowing what role you're applying for, what is the company, and all these things, you can't make these basic mistakes. And then inconsistency in your resume. I'll talk more in the upcoming slide, because this segment is morely focusing on resume part. uh, are any of you carrying any resume today? Yes, no? Session. Oh, great, great. Okay, so just to give you some important aspects of resume, as I said, resume is the first face of the candidate before you enter into the interview room, right? So, I'm not going to talk about formats, but I'm only talking about how do you frame the content. So many times I see that students mention their self introduction also in the resume, but they make it some 5-6 paragraphs. So it's more like their biodata. तो वो रिश्ता देने नहीं आ रहे, so you're coming there for a job. So it should be precise on what you're expecting from the company and what intention that you're coming for. It should not be more than 2 or 3 lines. And then coming to other parts, as I said, when you talk about your technical skills and your soft skill, please talk to your professors or your guides at university or any of these industry colleagues who keep coming to the campuses. Or you can give their your resume and just have them ask them to just have a look. How do you feel about it? So you have to keep doing these exercises, keep collecting inputs until you face interviews, because there are so many such silly mistakes that we keep making. As I said, we write Java, we write Python, everything, but if you are not able to answer the questions on it, don't mention it. If you are only good at some basic fundamentals, just mention the basic fundamentals, because the recruiter might still find certain position in the organization which might be suitable to you. But only thing is, it has to be genuine, whatever you mention. And again, inconsistencies is the biggest problem. For example, in one place you mentioned you are good at something, and then you say you've done the project on some Y technology, but now you are applying for some Z role, which doesn't has any relation to X and Y. You might have done 100 things, and but you have to be still consistent on why you have mentioned that on your resume and how it is relevant for me. And one more mistake that students generally do is they make one resume in the beginning of the placement season. The same resume goes from first company till 15th company or 20th company, whatever that comes to campus. So again, that can't be the case. Your resume has to be tailored or custom made for each and every company that you are applying for before you send it to them. Before, I think the TNP cell probably collects it through some MS forms or Google Forms, right? Each time you're applying for a different company, you have to sit down, understand what role it is, what type of company it is. Then you have to make necessary changes. For example, if you're for example, I'm a mobility company. You have done, let's say, 5 projects, and you mentioned different other projects ignoring mobility related aspects. Then it doesn't make sense to me. So each company you are applying for, just understand what changes you can make to the resume and how you can customize it to that particular company or a recruiter. So that is one important aspect. And as I already covered it in the previous point, again, a silly mistake that we make is hobbies. Don't mention something fancy like book reading, I like thriller and all those things, unless you are truly passionate about it. As I said, even if it's a very small thing like playing cricket or just going out, trying out different restaurants, even that can be a hobby. It's not bad. In fact, that can lead to a good conversation, because even that guy who's sitting might be having a similar interest, and these are certain common interests that people have. Great. And then coming to importance of body language, and the body language is very important because, as I said, it builds the first impression of the candidate once he enters the interview room and how he's presenting. And then it also a big signifying factor on how confident you are. Let's say there are some candidates who say they don't even make hand gestures. Their hands are always under the table, just trying to squeeze their palm because they're so worried and so tensed for that particular day. And body language is also another type of communication. It's a non-verbal communication. It also conveys what type of attitude that you are presenting and what type of comfortability you are in that room with the professor, with the recruiter. And then body language is also a very great factor to understand how engaged you are in that conversation and how interested you are. Let's say I'm talking something right now. There are many students who are looking at me, trying to make an eye contact, nodding their head, saying it's a way of acknowledging that they're listening to me. While there are some students who are browsing their mobile phones, it means that they're not paying attention. Similarly, when a recruiter is saying something or an asking question, you have to pay attention, make certain eye contact to them, acknowledge what they are saying. If you look down or if you look elsewhere, it's an immediate trigger that you're not interested in that conversation. And then body language will also say how stressed you are. As I said, the way you behave, the way you sit, can also present how tensed you are in that situation. And then trust me, if you have a very good and very strong body language, it builds a very strong impression about the candidate as well on the recruiter. So please ensure that you are practicing this from time to time. I don't know how often you speak to your friends in English as well. How do you speak to your friends? You communicate in English, Urdu? Very rarely, right? I think the most comfortable person who you can speak with without the fear of mistakes, he is your friend. Of course, मजाक तो उड़ाएंगे एक दो बार, but वो लोग भी मिस्टेक करेंगे, आपको भी मौका मिलेगा मजाक उड़ाने. But this is a good way of practicing English. So please speak to each other in English, at least from now, since you're in second and third year, before you face the placement season, because you will understand, you will get certain level of comfort level while speaking, because there are many words you might not be able to pronounce properly or speak confidently, or sometimes it even takes us time to remember what is that word in English, because we are traditionally not natural speakers, right? हम अभी जो भी बोलते हैं पहले हम जब सीखते हैं तो जब हिंदी में सोचते हैं हम पहले ट्रांसलेट करके फिर बाद में बोलते हैं, तो it takes time. Sometimes you don't remember the word exactly immediately. So if you start speaking more often, then you will understand, you will get that comfort level while you speak. Yeah, and again, the very common thing that students ask me is, can I also ask some questions to a recruiter, or should I just remain there silent and answer whatever they say and then just leave the room? And again, asking question is not an option, because as a job seeker, it is not only important, but it is your right to ask question and understand what is your employer about. So it also a very key lever for you to demonstrate that you are keen about the position. If you are not really asking me any questions, I might think that you are just here for the sake of coming. When you ask questions, then I might also be interested to listen to you, to understand, okay, this guy is asking me some questions, maybe he's interested about the role. And second important thing is ask valid questions. Don't ask a question because I said it is important to ask question. Don't ask, hey, how is your balance sheet this year? How much profit did your organization make this year? All those things are obviously available on the internet if you want to browse. When you're asking a question, make sure it is meaningful and it adds value to that conversation. And again, just for the sake of asking, don't ask the personal questions to the recruiter. Anything related to the personal aspect to a recruiter, it could be a political, religious, any of these things you should not get into. Even though you think they might share the same thought as you still should not ask that question, because unless until you know that person in a personal level, you will not be able to tell that. And and it's also a very good opportunity to get your doubts clarified. Let's say, for example, you're applying for some company, ABC company. I'll not take any names, but you read an article on internet few weeks ago that ABC company is not doing good in terms of profits, and they might shut down in India very soon. But they're still coming here for recruitment. But if you don't, recruiters obviously will not directly explicitly talk about it. But if you have such questions about any rumors you've read or anything that you've known recently, you should not hesitate to ask. Because if you ask, nobody will think that you have asked a negative question. It's not a negative question. You can straightforward say that, hey, I've come across that article on so and so page, saying that the organization is going through tough times in India and there could be a shutdown in the near future. Is it true? It's not wrong to ask, because your career, your future is dependent on the position that you take in the organization. It's not a crime to know what the organization's future outlook is in the respective region. So don't hesitate any such rumors about organization, leadership. You can feel free to ask such type of questions. And do not share any preferences. And when I mean by this statement is that, again, saying that I will take this job only if you give me a job which has a work in AI. Otherwise, I'm not interested. So even if they have a position on AI, I will still not give you that job if I am the recruiter. Because if you are inclined to only one particular technology, very adamant about working on only one thing, to be honest, I don't need such candidates, because today it might be my focus. Tomorrow my focus might change from AI to something else. But in that case, I need you to be adaptable so that you can learn something and then I can repurpose you to a different role. But if you are adamant, then I'll have to let go you at that time. I have to do a lot of tough conversations at that point of time. Instead, what we prefer is not hire you in the beginning itself. Great. I'll maybe take a quick pause if you have any questions, because I've covered a few segments talking about asking questions, importance of body language, building your resume, and what recruiters look for, right? So it's been a while, so I'll take a quick pause in case if you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Please.
Just now you said the last statement that AI.
Yeah,
If I am interested in AI, I would like to go in AI,
correct.
etc., etc. Maybe AI it is good, but for a particular, for example, embedded system is there. Nowadays we have got VLSI.
Yeah.
It's doing quite good now.
Good.
I am interested in VLSI because it has got a good future.
Yeah,
But if I say no, I want only VLSI because I'm thinking in that way.
yeah.
Then if he is working only on embedded systems, is it a negative thing or a positive thing? He is going to take him only for embedded system. But he is saying that I am interested in the VLSI.
Yeah.
So what about this?
Correct. So whenever we hire a particular role, I'm not saying you will, the candidate will be confined to that particular role throughout his career at my organization. So what question, let's say for example, if you're interested in the side, so your question to the recruiter could probably be, now I'm being hired for embedded role, but will I get an opportunity to also work on VLSI in future? Because obviously any company that is working on this particular segment will also have that VLSI or some other way of handling things. So we will share them the roadmap on how they can also get to work on those particular technologies in future, because they will not remain in the same elementary position throughout. Maybe after a year or a 1.5 year later, they will have to take a much more bigger responsibilities or cross collaborate with teams which might have these functionalities. So the recruiter will give them the chance or the answer that they will also get opportunity and how they will get it. But my point there was, expressing interest is one thing, but saying that I'll only join if my role demands me to work in this thing is a different statement to make. So that's what I meant when I meant by being very explicit about their interests. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Sir, I would like to know if
Please
I wanted to
tell me your name. Please introduce which background.
My name
you're
is Saeed Asad Abbas,
Mm.
and I'm currently pursuing diploma in computer science from MANUU Polytechnic itself. So I wanted to ask that if I wanted to join your organization, Bosch, so what is the eligibility criteria, or what can I do to join? Is there any specific eligibility criteria that you guys are hiring for?
Yeah, you said BCom computers.
No, I'm doing diploma in computer science.
Diploma in computer science, yeah. So eligibility wise, I have to say, I mean, in terms of preparedness, what I'm presenting is not just for Bosch. It could be any company. But if you're talking about my hiring eligibility, sometimes we hire diploma, sometimes we don't. It depends upon the demand from year on year. Especially in the last 3-4 years, we have not hired diploma majorly because our entity doesn't require many diploma graduates. We have been mostly focusing on BTech, MTech graduates for the technical hiring. So that being said, there are certain academic restrictions about CGPA or their percentages. That's how we hire for. But today I'm here to more talk about how prepared you are in terms of facing an interview. Yeah. Any other questions from
Anybody else from other background?
Yeah. Yeah. So now before I close, I'll talk about how do you prepare for an interview. So what you could probably do is, very importantly, if you go to Glassdoor or if you go to LinkedIn Learning, there are so many articles talking about some of the basic, most commonly asked questions for a fresher segment. So you can pick those questions. Let's say about 3 or 4 questions there are, which are pretty common. And what you could probably do is record yourself answering those particular questions. And especially if your communication is not strong in English, you should definitely do this activity. What you could do is, probably everyone has a smartphone. Anybody who doesn't have a smartphone? सबके पास है. So what you can do is, you just have to record yourself answering those questions and then watch it later. You will definitely understand where you are making those gaps. And if you have a mentor or if you have somebody at campus, a professor who is helping you learn, you could also share that with them so that they can share their inputs. But doing this activity will definitely make you understand where you are getting stuck, where you are not able to speak, where you are unable to curate. And you can learn from those mistakes, rework on your script, and then learn. And then a less preparation on the topics you already know. For example, introducing yourself, these things you might have to learn a little bit in terms of putting the structure to it and answering it. But let's say, for example, you worked on a project. Don't prepare anything respected to that project, because you worked on that project, you already know the technical aspects, you already know the specifications on how it worked out. So it doesn't require too much preparation. The moment you prepare too much, you have certain points on your mind which you have to vomit in front of the recruiter, then you will end up throwing all sentences in front of him. So that's not the case. So just ensure whatever you already know, whatever you've already worked on, you already have the knowledge about it. Just go there, because, for example, I learned a specific answer to that question in a certain way, but I might not ask in the same fashion. I might ask it in a different way, but you will end up saying the answer in the only way you learned. So don't do that. just try to be knowledgeable about the topic, so that even though if I ask different aspects about that thing, you should still be able to answer. Yeah, as I said, grab your questions from Glassdoor or write out your answers. You can make edits and then record it and then keep practicing from time to time. And this is very important. I keep repeating that, especially if you don't think you're strong in English, you have to do this activity. And do as many mock interviews as possible and get feedback from the peers. And there are many websites who also enable you with the mock interviews, where they ask a question and then it takes an interview for you, and then it gives a feedback as well. There are many such tools, so please utilize and try to do as many mock interviews as possible. And there's also a star method, which is available for you to answer the questions. First is putting up a statement, and then how do you analyze it, and then how do you answer it. So just you can Google the star method of answering questions. You will find this methodology. It's a small activity which divides the whole segment of answering any question into 4 segments, where it makes easy for you to answer and structure your answer most importantly. And again, another important thing for you to all remember is over speaking is not a great interview. जैसा होता है ना, आई थिंक 10th और अभी इंटर में एग्जाम लिखते हैं, मैं आंसर शीट आखिरी तक बढ़ दूंगा तो कुछ ना कुछ आ जाएगा, पासिंग मार्क्स तो आ जाएंगे. वैसा अभी 15 मिनट का इंटरव्यू है, 10-12 मिनट मैं ही बात करूंगा, इंटरव्यू को मौका भी नहीं दूंगा बात करने को, तो वो सोचेगा वो इसको बहुत कुछ मालूम है, मेरे को जॉब मिल जाएगा. वैसा नहीं है. So even if you speak for 4 minutes in that entire 15 minutes, but if that 4 minutes has a strong content proving that you know the technology and you are entitled to that particular role that I'm hiring for, that will still work out. So just don't override the recruiter when he's asking some question. Don't interrupt them. Listen carefully and answer very precisely. Don't keep repeating the same sentences in a different fashion. So if you know something, just answer it precisely, even if it is a 20-second answer, 30-second answer. Just say your answer and then just end it there. Because the most important aspect is to understand how capable you are and how knowledgeable you are, not about how long you can speak or how lengthy you can make the answer. Great. Any more questions?
A round of applause. So basically, this is the 3rd day of the workshop. Actually, first 2 days were for UG/PG students. Now, mostly the students are from ITI, diploma in elementary education, diploma in polytechnics. So I think they will learn slowly. And this workshop, what we'll do will not stop here. I have requested all the departmental placement coordinators to conduct at least 3 sessions, 1 hour, 1.5 hour sessions, whatever sir has given, whatever earlier sessions we have learned. Inshallah, for the next 4 or 5 months, we'll see that if you practice, if you have those sessions in 3 months, in the month of January, in the month of February, so we'll be in a position, definitely you will be in a position to give a good interview and successful interview. So definitely we'll have another centralized session like this. But in the meantime, till January and February, we'll have sessions of 1 hour in your department. And mostly, sir, these are the budding students from all over India. You can see we have a pan-India concept. Praneeth sir, the second time he has visited our university. He was with us for the last session also, wherein we have conducted one IT Expo. There I said, again, I requested the boss head, Mr. Amjad Khan Pathan, sir, I want a chairperson, and only Praneeth sir, because his way of explanation is very simple, and it is suiting our students also. And mostly the students are, the background of these students are the madrasa students, Urdu background students, and this student nurtures those Urdu medium students and tries to bring them in the mainstream. And one thing about our students are they are very hardworking. A little bit communication skills, if they improve their fluency, definitely they will be placed in very good companies. If you judge their technical skills, if you judge their academic skills, they are matchless, you can say. But communication skills, expressing yourself and giving good interviews is very important in the present scenario, in the present. That's what the Training Replacement Cell and Instructional Media Centre trying to nurture our students, trying to develop our students so that they will be in a position to give good interviews. With these kind words, I thank Mr. Praneeth Vinay Reddy, HR person, who has recruited a number of persons, number of candidates for Bosch Global Software Solutions. And we also thank Mr. Gopal sir from Bosch. And we also thank your head, your entire team, Mr. Amjad Khan Pathan, for sparing time for our budding students. And definitely coming times will once again invite you and request you to help our students. And definitely we'll have a long-term collaboration. Definitely. And with us we have Mr. Rizwan Ahmed sir. He is the director of our Instructional Media Centre. He is a famous personality. He has been to International Film Festival many times, and he was the deputy director in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. I request Rizwan sir to say a few words about the session. 3 days continuously, IMC team, training and placement team was with us. Thank you all the training and placement team members, faculty members, students, and Instructional Media Centre members.
Thank you, Susab. Thank you, Bosch, for being part of this very important workshop. Actually, मुझे पता नहीं था, यूसुफ साहब ने बोल दिया मुझे कुछ बोलना है, मुझे कुछ बोलना भी है, पता नहीं था बिल्कुल भी. So I'm so honored to be part of this workshop. I mean, this is a very, very important workshop. I was just comparing, जब रेड्डी साहब एक्सप्लेन कर रहे थे, एक जनरेशन शायद आपसे हम लोग सीनियर हैं, बस उतना ही फर्क है हम लोगों में, लेकिन गैप कितना ज्यादा था. I mean, I was a zoology student first, then I came to film and mass media. So एक zoology में हम लोग पढ़ते थे सेलुलर बायोलॉजी वगैरह सब. आई थिंक कुछ बायोलॉजी के स्टूडेंट्स होंगे यहाँ पे. सो एक माइक्रोबायोलॉजी हुआ करता था, सेलुलर बायोलॉजी थी, उसकी बड़ी एक लेनिजर की बड़ी फेमस बुक थी एक, और वो इतनी बड़ी लाइब्रेरी में खाली एक बुक होती थी और स्टूडेंट्स से 100 के ऊपर. आई मीन वी यूज्ड टू स्ट्रगल टू गेट दैट बुक, कि किसको बुक मिल जाए और हम उससे स्टडी करें. दैट वाज द ओनली बुक, आई मीन, व्हिच यूज्ड टू बी लाइक बाइबल ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट. और ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट अभी आपके सामने सब 3 दिन का वर्कशॉप, आई मीन आपके कैरियर बिल्डिंग के लिए, ये तो कोई कॉन्सेप्ट था ही नहीं उस जनरेशन में. सो वी यूज्ड टू स्ट्रगल आवर ओन एक्चुअली. जो भी हमको रिलेशन बिल्ड करना है अपने टीचर के थ्रू, इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे, किसी कंपनी के थ्रू या कहीं पे भी, वो रिलेशन पर्सनल बिल्डिंग होती थी. ऐसा एक ऑर्गेनाइज्ड स्ट्रक्चर कहीं पे था नहीं. सो दिस इज द स्टोरी ऑफ योर जनरेशन और माय जनरेशन. जो एक ही जनरेशन का गैप है, ज्यादा गैप नहीं है. तो इतना बड़ा फैसिलिटी आपको मिलना, और आई मीन बोश जैसी कंपनी का एक यूनिवर्सिटी सिस्टम में आना और आपसे इंटरेक्ट करना, दे कैरी अ लॉट ऑफ, आई मीन दैट्स अ लेगेसी. आई मीन वी have used Bosch equipment, I mean software वगैरह, we belong to your industry only, so we understand, you know, the kind of I mean the kind of experience this industry carries and their manpower carries. So ये बड़ा opportunity है. और एक जो additional dimension यूसुफ साहब ने इस बार create किया, normally workshop तो हमारी हो रही थी यहाँ पे, लेकिन वो recorded content नहीं था. For example, इस workshop के बाद में भी अगर कोई queries आपकी रह जाती है, कोई confusion mind में रह जाता है, तो हमने सारा आप लोगों के लिए workshop record कर लिया है. So this will be available to you for lifetime. So you can revisit this content again and again. और आप जो भी आपके confusions हैं, जो आपने explain किया आपको, I mean कोई भी concept जो आपके साथ में 3 दिन discuss किए गए, so you can revisit this content at MANUU website. Training Placement Cell का जो एक portal है, वहाँ पे आप portal पे वो सारा एक outreach के अंडर में सारा content आ जाएगा. So you can go back to this content और उसमें बार-बार देख सकते हैं, जो भी आपकी queries हैं, जो confusions हैं, उसको दूर कर सकते हैं. So this is a great opportunity. I must congratulate university and Yusuf Sahib especially for taking so much of pain for this sort of workshop. And thank you so much, Bosch, Mr. Reddy, for coming to this university. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Small token of gratitude, Mr. Praneeth sir. on behalf of Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Syed Ainul Hassan sir and Professor Sheikh Ishtiaq Ahmed sir, Registrar University.
No problem.
It's so big. Thanks so much.
Gopal sir. Yeah.
Please come.
Reading is there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
With this, we are concluding this one-day workshop. 2 days workshop also yesterday we have finished. 1 day workshop we have finished. Once again, it was a repetition. It was the best repetition you have studied in the last session. STAR method, LSRW, basic communication skills, resume writing. What you have not learned? You have learned everything about the interviews. Now you are in a position to just recollect, improve your skills, be ready for the final interviews in the month of March and April, inshallah. Thank you, one and all.